So he went into hospital, ended up catching pneumonia, and then was recovering from pneumonia and then caught septicemia. And we were in a space of 6 hours from finding out he had it, he was dead.
With what we see of you online, is there a bit of a kind of character there, a bit of an exaggerated part of you, or are we?
No, look, you will always get that question with the AFTV thing, and it's like, yeah, I am a very outspoken person. I am very angry sometimes, but there is another side to me that people don't know. You know, I've lived a life and I've had to deal with things and experience things that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemies. But people don't know that because I like to keep a lot of it to myself. You know, people know about my brother only because I was speaking about it once and I broke down, and I've never done it before. And I just couldn't hold it in anymore and I had to. And today's the anniversary of him dying. But I try and use it as a positive now. I look at it and say, smile. Like, think of all the good things that used to happen with him and stuff. I lost my uncle to coronavirus 6 months ago.
Jeez.
But I didn't need to tell anyone.
Yeah.
I keep it to myself. And he was in, he got so bad that he had to go to, you know, an end of life, like one of them places where they get cared for.
I know what you mean, yeah. A hospice?
And, yeah, and none of us could go and see him. Not even his daughter, my cousin. Couldn't even go and see him. My dad, that's his brother. And like, he's somebody that used to go to Arsenal matches with us as well when we were kids. And he was on the phone to me, struggling for breath, knowing that he's going to go any day and telling me how much he loves me and that how he's proud of me now. And I've grown up and I'm not the little shit that I used to be when I was younger. Because I used to, you know, because he used to look at it like the uncle, like, you're stressing my brother out.
Yeah.
Like, what has he done to you to deserve this? Like, and like, them kind of things. People don't know that.
No.
People don't realize it. People don't see it. I've had to bury 2 of my nephews. 4 months old, one of them. Died of a cot death.
Fucking hell.
And I've had to bury them.
That's
you
it.
know?
Yeah.
Things like that. They just don't see that. They don't understand it. They don't realize that when my brother died, he was in my arms and he took his last breath in front of me. And I'm literally sitting there like begging him to just breathe again. Just come on, man.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm watching all these heart rate monitors and all this stuff that you see on Casualty. Like, it's like real life. And you're watching his monitor just drop. And then it goes flatline. And it's like what you see on the like, and you're just like, and then it went. And I'm like, I know he's there. I know he can hear me. But his body had shut down. It wouldn't fight anymore. He caught septicemia.
Wow.
Yeah. So he went into hospital, ended up catching pneumonia, and then was recovering from pneumonia and then caught septicemia. And we were in a space of 6 hours from finding out he had it, he was dead. And the worst thing is that day, I was supposed to...
6 hours?
Within 6 hours. On the day that he died, my mum was working, and I went to go and see my mum at her work. And I knew he was in hospital. Like, we all knew he was there, and he was there for about a week, and he had the pneumonia and stuff. And I was told that I could go up and see him that evening, and that it would be like, he's fine. He's over the worst of the pneumonia. So I went to see my mum, and I said, "Shall I come and pick you up later? We'll go up and see him, etc., all the usual stuff." And then early evening, I got a phone call from my mum, and she was saying to me, "Oh, he's not in a great place. He's a little bit weak at the moment. So maybe give it a couple more days and then we'll go up then," sort of thing. So I was like, all right, cool. Whatever they think's best. Yeah, no worries. And that was about 6 o'clock, something around them time. And then 2:30 a.m., I think it was, got a phone call from my dad saying to me, "Your brother's going." And I was like, first reaction was, where's he going? It's like, I thought he got up and he's like pissed off somewhere in the hospital.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are you on about? Where's he going? He said, no, he's going. Like, he's dying. He's on his way out. What? So what do you mean? Like, I couldn't grasp it. Like, literally just woke up out of bed. And then I'm like, I'm on my way. Got to the hospital. Luckily, I live like 5 minutes away from the hospital. One of my brothers was living 20 miles away. Another one was living in Kent. So, like, a long way away. All of us were trying to get there. I got there, walked into ICU, went in, had his daughter, his son, like my niece and nephew, all around him and everything. And I just walked in and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Said, you're in a hospital, you're in ICU, there's all... Make him better. Do something for him. What are you on about? He's dying. Like, he's hooked up to all this equipment. Make him better. Nothing. And I think when I got there, I spoke to him. Like, he was unresponsive. I knew he was there. Like, I knew he could understand. And I was just like, you better fucking wake up, man. Said, you just stop with the pissing around. Wake up. And then it was just, like I said, I just watched his monitor. Boom, gone. And then when I was grabbing him, I was like, please don't. And then his monitor went boom and went again. And I was like, he can fucking hear me, man. He can hear me. Gone. And he was gone. And then I had a massive argument with the hospital staff because he was hooked up to one of the ventilators. So he was now dead, but his heart looked like it was like beating because he's hooked up to a ventilator. So we're trying to grieve. And like, it looks like he's breathing. And I'm like, turn the fucking machine off. And they're like, oh, it takes a specialist doctor to come round. I said, you either fucking turn it off or I'm doing it myself. I said, how are we supposed to grieve when it looks like he's fucking alive? I said, come on. And they understood the situation. And yeah, turned the machine off. And yeah, he was gone.
Fuck.
He was gone. Like literally from the night where I was planning to go and see him to like, bang, like that, gone. And it was like the most like weirdest, like surrealist, like just weird. Like all of it was like a blur to me at that time. And I just couldn't grasp that my brother was gone. It's my big brother as well. And it was like, how? Like what's happened? Like I just didn't register at first. And I remember I left the hospital, I went home and I just sat there.
What can you do in that moment? What
didn't know what to do. Just
Yeah.
sat there, just like, what do I do? And kind of just was for about an hour or so, just oblivious to everything that was going on. And then my mind's like, right, I need to be there for my mum and dad. I need to like, you know what I mean? I've got to be there for them. And they've just had to like watch their son die. You know the saying, you should never die. Your children should never die before you. So it was kind of like, I've got to be there for them. I've got to. And like, the maddest thing is like my brother that lived 20 odd miles away, he got to the car park and he never made it inside. He got to the car park and he died. And my other brother got to Dartford Tunnel and then we had to phone him and say, slow down. Just he's gone.
Yeah.
Just get here, but just slow down. Don't do anything stupid. Don't drive crazy. That was it. He was gone. And then, you know, even to like, I laugh about this now because it's even his funeral, it's so Arsenal orientated because when Arsenal destroyed the North Bank and turned it into seating, we went up there and we nicked a load of the terrace. Like we just said to the workman, go on, let's have a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, go on there and grab some.
Yeah.
And my dad put a big chunk of the North Bank in my brother's coffin.
Wow.
But I tell you something, fucking hell. I was at the front of his coffin when I was lifting him.
Yeah.
And that was where my dad put it. I was like, fucking cheers. I was like, fucking hell. Do you know how heavy that is?
Yeah.
And you just put a bit of Highbury in there. And it was just like, yeah, me and my brothers, we all carried him in and everything else. But yeah, he got to be buried with like it was one son at the time that he'd lost. And because it was his son that died, my nephew. And he was 4 months old, Kyle. And that's where Kieran's got the name Kyle from as well.
Right.
And he was buried with him. And we used to always joke about certain things because he always used to sit there and say, if I die next, right, he used to be sitting there because, right, because you have 3 to a plot, basically, where it sounds really morbid, but like obviously my nephew was buried first, my brother went on top, and then there was one more space. And he was sitting there and he'd be like, if I go second, he goes, whatever you do, make sure like she don't go next. Meaning his wife. He's like, I don't want her on top of me again. And he'd be like, he'd joke about it.
Yeah.
Things like that.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, lo and behold, like the next to actually die was his other son, my nephew, who was mentally and physically disabled.
Right.
Sean, and he lived till he was like 24. And the maddest thing about it, he died on this day too.
Wow.
Different years, but he died on the same day. Like he had to be with his dad.
Fucking
like
hell.
time was done now. Like
Yeah.
he was told he would never live till he was 10 years old because he was mentally and physically disabled. And what happened was when my brother was young, like when they were growing up, and like Kyle was his firstborn, And this was before there was all these baby monitors and all that kind of stuff that you have now and everything. Came into the bedroom one morning and he was dead, cot death. And then they had Sean. Went into the bedroom one morning and he'd stopped breathing. Identical. My brother gave him mouth to mouth, resuscitate him, brought him back to life. And the time that they had spent without oxygen to his brain had now put him into a vegetable state. And he was mentally and physically disabled.
And this is all the kind of shit that people don't see that someone's been through.
Yeah.
And then so when they're saying shit online, they need to. Everyone's got their own story, haven't they?
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Don't get me wrong. Like I'm very lucky. I haven't experienced grief or trauma like anywhere near that level. But that's just hit home really when people are cussing people up. There is, I think there is a difference between having a laugh at the AFTV thing, call it cringe, be embarrassing, whatever. But you really need to know. And when people come for Stevie, it makes me super, super angry. He's been through some grief and trauma recently, and when people come to him, it affects me personally. I go above and beyond to find out who that person is, and then
I get the same kind of thing with Robbie. He's done things with me where he says to me, "I'm a big boy, I can fight my own battles," and I'm like, "Yeah, but if I see something online and someone's calling you, a racist slur or whatever," I said,
"You take it personally on behalf of them,"
and I kind of like I want to say something and I want to, call out that person because I feel they should be, but then I also need to remember which ones that you call. Like what I've started to do now as well is that there's some where they're troll accounts.
Yeah.
There's no point in calling them out because you're never going to find out anything about them.
Yeah.
They just set up a profile specifically for that. It's when I find a profile and I'm like, you're a real person. I had somebody, and they were a Tottenham fan. I still remember this to this day, but he insulted one of my kids, made some thing about my son. And I thought, who the fuck are you? So I went, let me go and check this guy's profile, find out if he's real. So I found him. So I thought, okay, yeah, it's genuine. Let me just go on Facebook, just check. Found him, found where he works. So I at his work. And I remember he worked at Boots. And I at his work. And I was like, is this the kind of, behavior you condone, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah.
This and that. He's then inboxing me, I'm so sorry, this, that, the other. I said, you need to face the consequences of your actions and your words. And I said, like anybody. I said, so what gives you the right to think that you can say this? And now I've got to feel sorry for you because you could lose your job. No, I don't feel sorry for you.
Works,
Get in the dog queue.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't feel no way about it at all. I don't care if it affects your family life. I don't care if you can't put food on the table for your children now.
No, I agree.
Think about it.
I agree.
Go and tell your wife and tell your children why you can't put food on the table now.
Yeah, for what you've said.
Because of what you've said. Because I can guarantee your wife will be disgusted to know that somebody who she's got children with can say something like that. So did I at his wife? Yes, I did.
Yeah. Yeah. Good.
Don't care.
Because the moment people start getting their sort of payback for or getting their consequence for what they've done, then we can start to make a difference. So we should keep continuing to call people out.